Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Happy Leader newsletter. I want to talk to you today about a very important subject that I call setting your week up for success. What does this mean exactly? I'm filming this video on a Sunday, and Sundays are one of my favorite days. Why? First of all, because it's still the weekend, but more importantly, because it's the day of the week where you can set yourself up and prioritize and make sure you know what you're going to work on in the coming few days to have the most amazing week ever. This is a concept that I've been working on for a long time, and I want to teach that to you today, and hopefully you can take some of these tools and implement them right away. Okay, let's get started. What is the number one thing I would like you to do? The first concept I want to talk to you about is called the brain release. What exactly is a brain release? A brain release is an opportunity for you to take all the crazy thoughts that are in your head, whether there are things that you need to get done this week, people you need to talk to, anything that you need to accomplish, including projects, a place you need to go, that you absolutely have to get done in the coming 5 days. I want you to write those down on a piece of paper and make sure your brain is completely empty, that you have not forgotten one detail of someone you have to reach out to or something that you have to do. That is a first step of really giving you clarity on where you should focus your attention. So now that you've done that amazing exercise, you've taken all that information, you've put it down on paper or in a diary, step number 2 is to prioritize them the right way. So you don't want to go into your week starting off with fires and just being reactionary. Too many of us do that all the time, and that is not the best way to use your energy and your focus. So you want to go into what we call the Covey quadrants. What are the Covey quadrants? Dr. Stephen Covey spoke to us about these and showed us how to go about them. As you can see, there are 4 different quadrants: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And let me explain to you what these quadrants are. So Q1 is the quadrant that is considered urgent and important. Honestly speaking, most of us spend our time in that quadrant. That means that we're responding to emails, to employees, to colleagues, to peers, whatever's coming at us, any email that needs to be dealt with, we're dealing with it right away. Any call that's coming in, we're taking it right away. And that is really not the best way to use our energy, but most of us feel like that's the only way we can use our time and focus. I want you to get away from that mentality. I want you to start spending time over here in quadrant number 2. What is quadrant number 2? It is those things that are very important, but they're not necessarily urgent. Those are strategic elements in your work, no matter what you do, that are going to push you further ahead. Those are things that require some planning, some thinking, some creative time, and we don't give enough of our time and attention to that Q2 quadrant. Something very important for you to focus on. Anything below the line, so when we start looking at quadrant 3 and quadrant 4, you have to start dealing with those very differently. Because if you look at quadrant 3, sorry about that, is things that are not important but they're urgent. So these are the type of things that people are constantly bringing to you, and they make it seem like, oh my gosh, if you don't get this done, things are going to go crazy. But really, you know deep down that things are absolutely not important. You're doing them anyway, they're sapping your time and your energy. You have to figure out a way to start delegating those away. And quadrant number 4 is not important, not urgent. You should just not be doing those. Make a conscious decision to say, it's not urgent, it's not important, I'm not doing it, I'm figuring out a way to get out of it. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is what we refer to as really scheduling your time. We refer to it as most specifically deep work. What is deep work? Deep work is really taking the time at the beginning of the week and to actually and specifically target out exactly how you want to use your time. That includes putting time aside for emails. Think about it differently. If you're constantly responding to emails throughout your entire day, there's no way that you can actually be focused at any one given time. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to block out specific periods of time for emails, and then block out specific periods of time for meetings with colleagues. And last but not least, block out specific areas of time for deep work. What is the definition of deep work? It comes from Cal Newport. He wrote a book that's actually called Deep Work. Also wrote a great book called Digital Minimalism. I recommend you read both of those books. What he talks about in deep work is setting aside time where you're not distracted for a given period of time. His ideal amount of time is 90 minutes. Now, don't be intimidated. You might be thinking, Sean, I cannot afford to give myself 90 minutes of uninterrupted time. You'll get there eventually. If you need to start with 20, 30, 45 minutes, start with that amount of time. But what's most important is that you cannot be distracted during that time. You can't check emails, you can't take phone calls, you can't be browsing social media or going on the internet for any reason. You need to go dark during that time. There was a study that came out from the University of Irvine in California. And what that study showed us was that when you're in a state of deep flow, so you're really focused on a super important project, if something or someone distracts you that is completely unrelated, it will take you 26 minutes to gain back that focus. 26 minutes. Now think about that. If in a given day you're being distracted 1, 2, 5, 7, 10 times 26 minutes, you're literally losing hours every single day where you could be pushing forward and progressing on a very important priority. So, to recap, 3 very important things to do. Number 1, the brain release. Get all your thoughts out on paper. Number 2 is the Covey quadrants. Make sure to prioritize it's going into Q1, Q2, Q3, or quadrant number 4. And finally, and not the least more important, block out schedules of time to work on specific things. Specific time for emails, specific time for meetings, specific time for deep work on those Q2 elements that are most important but not urgent yet. I hope these tips help you. I hope you can start implementing them right away. My goal is for you to move ahead quickly. If you want any of these papers or any other tricks on how to go about it, don't be shy to email me, sean@seanjohal.com. I will take the time to get back to you and send you these tools directly. I hope that helped you. Until the next newsletter next week, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care.